Lewis Hamilton's hidden Ferrari upgrade has finally been exposed. And it was not a new wing. It was not a new floor. It was not a flashy piece of bodywork. It was the one part of the car a driver trusts more than anything: the brakes. Hamilton quietly switched to a different brake configuration weeks before Monaco. Ferrari offered Charles Leclerc the same package, but Leclerc decided to wait because changing brake feel before his home race was too risky. Then Monaco turned that decision into a disaster. The safety car came out. Leclerc's brake temperatures collapsed. The race restarted. And suddenly, he said 3 of his 4 brakes were not working properly. He crashed out of a podium position at home. Hamilton did not. Hamilton took the podium, while Leclerc was left admitting Ferrari already had the solution in-house on Lewis's car. Now, ahead of Barcelona, Ferrari is moving both drivers toward Hamilton's brake direction. And that changes everything. Because this is no longer just a hidden upgrade story. Is a power shift inside Ferrari. The real question is whether Hamilton has found the key to the SF-26, while Leclerc is being forced to follow the teammate who arrived as the outsider and may now be shaping Ferrari's future from the inside. Subscribe to the channel. Ferrari wanted Hamilton's upgrade to stay quiet. That is how these things usually work. A driver feels something in the car that does not match his instinct. The engineers look at the data. A small specification change appears on one side of the garage. The team studies it for a few races. If it works, the other driver eventually tries it. If it does not, the idea disappears into the background, buried under 1,000 other technical experiments that fans never hear about. But Monaco does not let secrets stay hidden. Not at Ferrari, not with Hamilton, not with Leclerc, and definitely not when the difference between the two cars becomes the difference between a podium and a crash. At first, Hamilton's change did not look like a headline. It was not a dramatic aerodynamic package. It was not a visible bodywork update. It was not a new floor that photographers could chase in the pit lane. It was not a giant wing or a side pod change or something fans could easily freeze on television and compare with the previous race. It was the brakes. That may sound less dramatic from the outside, but inside the cockpit, nothing is more personal. The brake pedal is where a driver's confidence lives. It is the point where speed becomes trust. It is the moment a driver decides how late he can attack, how much speed he can carry, and how close he is willing to place the car to a wall that will not forgive him. In Formula One, the brakes are not just a system. They are a language between the driver and the machine. And Hamilton has spent his entire career speaking that language in a very specific way. He wants feel. He wants a response he can predict from the first touch. He wants the car to tell him exactly what is happening as he begins to slow it down. He wants the brake pedal to help him rotate the car into the corner, not simply stop it before the apex. That kind of confidence is not optional for Hamilton. It is part of how he drives. So when he arrived at Ferrari and began adapting to the SF-26, one of the first deeper issues was not just whether the car was fast enough. It was whether the car felt natural enough. That difference matters. A car can have pace on paper and still feel wrong to a driver. It can have downforce but not confidence. It can have speed through the corners, but a brake pedal that does not speak clearly enough. And when a driver is operating at the front of Formula One, those details become the difference between committing fully and leaving time on the table. Ferrari's SF-26 was already a complicated machine. It was built for the new 2026 regulations, one of the biggest technical resets in modern Formula One. Active aerodynamics had changed the way cars manage drag and downforce. The power units had changed the relationship between combustion power and electrical deployment. The chassis was lighter, the systems were more sensitive, and the way the car behaved under braking was not the same as before. That last point is the key. The braking world had changed. Under the new regulations, the cars rely more heavily on energy recovery when slowing down. The motor generator unit kinetic harvests more energy, which means the mechanical brakes, especially the rear brakes, are not always doing the same amount of work they did in the previous era. That sounds efficient, but efficiency has a consequence. If the rear brakes are not working hard enough, they do not build enough heat. And Formula One carbon brakes need heat to operate properly. They are not designed to feel perfect at any temperature. They live inside a narrow window, and when they fall outside that window, the behavior can change dramatically. Too hot is a problem. Too cold can be even stranger. The brake may not bite the way the driver expects. The balance may feel unstable. The rear may stop contributing enough stopping force. The front brakes may suddenly carry too much of the job. The driver may press the pedal and feel the car refusing to slow with the same confidence it had only minutes earlier. At a normal circuit, that is worrying. At Monaco, it is terrifying, because Monaco does not give a driver space to discover a problem slowly. The walls are waiting immediately. The corners arrive one after another. The track is narrow, bumpy, and unforgiving. There's no wide escape road where a driver can run long and recover from a bad brake response. If the brake system falls out of the window at Monaco, the driver may only get one warning. Then the wall gives the answer. Hamilton understood early that Ferrari's standard braking field did not fully match what he needed. The car had been running with Ferrari's established Brembo specification, a system built around a supplier relationship that stretches deep into Ferrari history. Brembo is not some weak choice. It is one of the most respected names in motorsport braking, and Ferrari had every reason to trust it. But this was not about reputation. It was about fit. Hamilton had used a different brake character throughout his career. The feel he wanted was more natural to him, more precise at the initial touch, more predictable in modulation, more connected to the way he attacks the first phase of braking. So he pushed Ferrari toward a different route, a mixed configuration, Carbon Industries discs at the front while retaining Brembo components elsewhere. A hybrid solution, quiet, legal, technical, easy for fans to miss, but extremely important inside the car. Hamilton reportedly began running this configuration from a Japanese Grand Prix onward. That means by the time Ferrari reached Monaco, this was not a sudden experiment. It had already been through several race weekends. Hamilton had been collecting data, learning the temperature behavior, understanding the feel, and building confidence in how the car reacted. That is why the upgrade was hidden, but not random. It was a solution being validated in plain sight without most people realizing how important it could become. Ferrari also offered the same package to Charles Leclerc. And this is where the story becomes delicate. Leclerc said no before Monaco. That decision became controversial after the crash, but before the race, it made sense. Monaco is Leclerc's home. It is the track where he knows every surface change, every barrier, every corner rhythm, every emotional trap. It is also a circuit where confidence matters more than almost anywhere else in Formula One. The driver has to know exactly what the car will do before he commits. Changing brake feel before Monaco is not a small choice. It affects how the driver attacks Saint-Devote, how he carries the car into Massenet, how he slows for Mirabeau, how he turns through the hairpin, how he judges the chicane after the tunnel, how he places the car through the swimming pool, how much trust he has into Anthony Noakes. Every braking point becomes a question. Will the bite arrive earlier? Will the modulation feel different? Will the rear respond the same way? Will the car rotate too sharply? Will it under-rotate? Will the pedal give the same warning signs? At Monaco, questions are dangerous. So Leclerc chose the known setup. He chose familiarity. He chose the full Brembo specification he understood. And again, that choice was not foolish. It was human. A driver going into his home race, on the most punishing street circuit in the sport, decided not to change one of the most sensitive feelings in the car at the worst possible moment. The problem is that Formula One does not judge decisions by how logical they were before the race. It judges them by what happens after. And after Monaco, Leclerc's choice looked brutal, because the race became the exact scenario Ferrari feared. A safety car arrived, the field slowed, the brakes cooled, and the SF-26 cold condition weakness emerged at the worst possible time. Leclerc was running in a strong position. He had a podium within reach. For Ferrari, that mattered. For Leclerc, it mattered even more. Monaco has never been just another race for him. It carries years of heartbreak and expectation. Every time he is close to a home result, the emotional weight grows heavier. Then Lance Stroll crashed, the safety car came out, and the whole rhythm of the Grand Prix changed. Behind the safety car, drivers are trying to keep everything alive. Tires, brakes, energy systems, temperatures. But the cars are moving slowly. The normal race forces disappear. The airflow is lower. The braking zones are gentler. The systems cool down. For Leclerc's brake configuration, that became fatal. His brake temperatures collapsed. He later described the situation in devastating terms. He said that after the safety car, 3 of his 4 brakes stopped working properly. He said he tried every adjustment he could. Brake bias, energy recovery settings, everything available from inside the cockpit. Nothing brought the brakes back. That is the part that makes the crash so disturbing. This was not Leclerc missing a braking point because he was too aggressive. This was not a driver simply losing concentration. This was a driver saying the car no longer had the stopping force he needed. He was essentially trying to race a Formula One car at Monaco with only one brake working properly. And when racing resumed, the danger became unavoidable. At Anthony Nogues, the final corner, Leclerc had no good option. He explained that if he did not brake for the final corner, he would have crashed into the first corner anyway. But braking did not give him the response he needed. There was no clean escape from a situation. So the Ferrari went into the barriers. A home podium disappeared. Another Monaco heartbreak was written into Leclerc's story. But this time, the aftermath changed the entire Ferrari narrative. Because Leclerc did not simply say the team would check the data. He did not absorb blame. He did not treat it like a normal racing incident. He was furious. He called the brake issues unacceptable. He suggested the situation was dangerously close to the line no driver wants to cross. And most importantly, he said the solution was already in-house, on Lewis Hamilton's car. That sentence revealed what Ferrari could no longer keep quiet. Hamilton had been running a different brake direction. Leclerc had been offered it. Leclerc had waited. And now, after the crash, Leclerc would move to Hamilton's configuration from the next race onward. That is not just a technical update. That is a shift in authority. Because Ferrari is effectively saying the direction Hamilton pushed for is now the direction both cars need to follow. That does not mean Hamilton is automatically the team leader in every area. It does not mean Leclerc was wrong about everything. It does not mean the brake package is a magic solution. But it does mean Hamilton's judgment has been validated in one of the most important feel-sensitive areas of the car. And inside a Formula One team, that matters. A driver who identifies a problem early gains influence. A driver whose solution becomes the team's solution gains credibility. A driver whose data changes the other side of the garage becomes more than just a driver. He becomes a development force. That is the real meaning of Hamilton's hidden upgrade being revealed. It showed that Hamilton is not simply adapting to Ferrari. Ferrari is adapting to Hamilton. That is a very different story.